The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
It's Q101.
Ahoy! Let's go! We're waking up Chicago. Turn up the radio. It's time to start the show. On Q101 with the Morning Crew. Ahoy! Let's go! Welcome to the morning show.
All right, let's do it. You ever wake up on a Monday and you feel like you need a weekend from the weekend? You know?
I'm so exhausted. It did not go well.
Check in 312-591-8300. Did you win the weekend? Did you lose the weekend? Let us know what happened. We love talking to you on Monday because we haven't talked to you in like, I think, 72 hours. What is it, from Friday to here? You had that up, and somebody, I don't know, 24, 48, 72, I think. But it's kind of half that because...
Are you honestly asking me a math question at 6 in the morning?
Check in. Want to hear from you. It was a real Q101 weekend, man. I was out Friday in Shorewood, Saturday in Palatine. Case was out at Sad Summerfest and a hardcore festival, and he saw Barbie. Kenzie was out in Sandwich all weekend with her kid for a baseball tourney or tryouts and all this stuff. And where were you? What did you do? That's what we need to know, because it was a weekend, man. And I went out to the lakefront, too. I was just telling Kenzie, went out to the lakefront, finally a little time, and people out there can relate, I think, when you have a kid and you become parents and it becomes all about them, and as it should, as the kid. That's the benefit of having a kid, or it's the shock of reality that life isn't about you anymore. Because I thought it was all about me, and it's not. But we got
That's the first time in life.
The first time I figured it out, yeah.
These last 8 months is when you realize other people matter?
Yes, I did.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it hit me in the face with the kid. But went out to the lakefront, see people setting up and having just picnics all day with tailgating tents and grills. And I'm like, wow, these people are settling in for 12 hours of grilling, eating, playing around. And, most of the time you get caught up in your job or I want to just chill on the couch and Netflix. That's all I want to do. But Chicago, doesn't forgive with the winter too much. So get out there and do something. I just realized that. It's already friggin' almost August. And I realized I got to get out more.
Well, it's going to snow in like a week.
I know.
Just a heads up.
Yeah, it's picnic week. It's going to snow on Sunday probably, so bring a parka.
Bring your snow pants to picnic.
Yeah. But Kenzie, you got back from Sandwich out there. There was a big baseball tourney.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. It was good stuff. I met listeners, though. It was crazy. So at the end of the tournament, we're taking, like, pictures of Tristan and stuff. And the staff members walk up to us. And I thought they were going to ask us to leave because we were the last game of the tournament. Kind of like at Wrigley when you take pictures afterwards. Like, you can't, like, hang out here because we're cleaning up. So I'm like, I'm really sorry. We're grabbing our stuff. She goes, no. Can we get a picture with you? I'm like, what? And she's like, oh, my gosh, we listen every day. They were so nice. It was all these, all the employees at the sandwich tournament. They were so sweet. And it was funny because on my way into the tournament, my husband and I are talking because we're just driving down the dirt road to Sandwich, Illinois, because we really were on actual gravel roads to drive there. And I said, I wonder what radio station they listen to. I didn't think we reached Sandwich.
We do.
I had no idea. I didn't think we went out that far, honestly.
It's kind of wild when you realize that, especially what we do here. We sit in this little room and we talk, and we're in the Embassy Tower downtown. You know what I mean? It's like, and you kind of forget, especially when I drove to Nashville to see my mom a month ago. We reach all the way to Rensselaer, Indiana, which is 95 miles because we're on the Sears Tower. Like, that's where our antenna is, and it's flat around here, so we boom.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Because I was pulling in, I wonder, do you think they have, a local sandwich station? Like, they have a super local morning show? I didn't know. And it was so funny that, an hour later after that game, or I guess, a lot longer than that later, that she came up and was like, oh, my God, we listen every day. I'm like, you can hear us?
I thought it was like a parallel universe. There's a Q102 out there in Sandwich, something like that.
I don't know. It's super local. It's all the sandwich events gets talked about on air every day. I remember when I lived in Stillwater, there was a Stillwater radio station.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we own this area. We do, thankfully.
And that area, because I would qualify it as two different. Downtown Chicago and Sandwich, Illinois are different vibes.
Yeah, well, listen, I went to Shorewood, by the way, to get the Bedrocks. Awesome place. Took me 2.5 hours to get there on Friday afternoon. 2.5 hours. I've gotten to Indianapolis in 2.5 hours before, but getting out of this city, it took me an hour just to get from where I live on the north side, 2:55. I still can see the Sears Tower. I haven't exited the area yet.
You're just not used to commuting.
No, I'm not.
You're not.
I know you drive about 200 miles every 2 days. I drove 200 miles this weekend, and to me, it was like seeing a whole new world.
You act like you went on a road trip.
I did. It felt like it. But I'm glad I did because there's so many good people in Shorewood. By the way, a listener recommended Chicken and Spice, a restaurant out there.
Yeah. Did you go?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
It was so good.
There's only two of them. There's one there and there's one in Orland, I think, Orland Hills. And the biscuits, the breast, they don't call them nuggets. They just call them like, breast balls or whatever.
They call them breast balls.
That's kind of what I call them. I went to the counter.
I don't think they do.
They're not
I didn't go there, but I would put my money on the fact that the menu item wasn't breast balls.
Breast chunks. That's what they're called. Breast chunks. So I was close.
Were you?
What would you prefer? Which name?
I wouldn't want to eat something called breast balls. I would not.
They're so good.
You sound like a creepy guy at Hooters. Look at all those breast balls on that one.
Let's go to Joanna checking in. Joanna, ahoy.
Hi, good morning.
What's going on with you? Give us your weekend. Did you win it? Did you lose it? What's going on?
I know I'm losing it, and I'm going to lose it hard because I took my teenager to go watch the Barbie movie last night
Yeah.
at 9:50 at LaGrange. But beforehand, we did go to Buffalo Wild Wings, and I can still taste the lemon pepper right now. So I went to go. I'm old, and I have IBS, so that doesn't work. So
I got the picture.
Yeah, I went to sleep taking Tums, and I woke up taking Tums, and I feel like this is going to be one of those Tums type of days, and
It's a tummy day.
But you knew going in, those wings were going to do that, but it was worth it to eat them with your daughter, right?
Yeah, it was, and then we had Cold Stone, so that just
Damn,
Yeah.
You were like, I don't care about my diagnosis. I'm just gonna do whatever I want tonight.
it was a YOLO type of night, and now I'm just like, dang.
Yeah.
But good for you, though. You stepped up.
Yeah.
She's stepping down today.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
Well, we're just talking about your weekends. Check in 312-591-8300. What was it good, bad, ugly, whichever? And Kenzie was talking about being in Sandwich, and she couldn't believe that we were the radio station of Sandwich, Illinois. Q101
Yeah.
was because it's pretty deep. I think it's probably about 50 miles from downtown. Now
I didn't think our reach went there. I didn't think people could hear. I mean, I guess it goes to Elgin. I honestly thought we'd cap out near where I lived. I really did.
Elgin's about probably 40, 44 miles from downtown, I'm
Yeah.
guessing. Yeah.
And that's just kind of listen, I'm not great with directions, but I know that Sandwich was in a different direction. We went down dirt roads, cornfields. I didn't think, which I love, by the way. I was like, this is, after driving, in over an hour in and over an hour home on Friday, then I packed my bag and we drove over an hour to Sandwich. So it was a long day of driving in different sections. But the drive there was so peaceful.
Yeah.
It was so nice. There's no other car, and we were just passing cornfields, and every farmhouse was different. I was like, I feel amazing. Everyone else in the car is complaining about driving, but when you do city driving every day, where you're in fights with people, I've almost gotten out of my car and dragged somebody out of there. Like, you're just angry.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, look at the bird. I was like, look at that. Look at the rainbow. Look at the bird. There was this little plane that we thought was a bird because it was so small. But is that a hawk? It's a plane. It was amazing.
Is it safe to say that you are moving the Sandwich?
I may. And I
You leave
plan
your
on
husband and kid in Elgin?
Yes. Because that would make it even more peaceful. And then I plan on broadcasting from my house. I'm not coming in.
Well, by the way, just so you know, there's nothing better than listening over the radio in your car. That's why you put it as your number one preset right there at Q101. You just put it right there. But you can also listen on an app. We have the
Right.
Q101 app. We have on your desktop computer on the website, Q101.com. And, of course, your smart speaker at home. We know a lot of people listen those ways, so you always do that if you get out of our listening area. But there's nothing like listening to radio over the radio.
Well, that was the thing, because someone's like, oh, you're going to blow your mind, but people can listen online. I'm like, I know that, but
Yeah.
I was surprised our signal, they were actually listening on the radio, like in their cars. I didn't realize we went out that far.
Trucker Mike just checked in. Strong signal right now in Racine, Wisconsin.
Get it?
We're hitting it, man. We're going all
Get some
over.
cheese and listen to us.
Oh, the brat stop. Stop over there. Get some meats and cheeses and deliciousness. The Mars Cheese Castle.
So many people are checking in, saying that they want some breast balls right now.
I want some more breast balls, too. That's chicken and spice
Please
in
don't say that.
Shorewood. Breast balls. It's Brian and Kenzie, Q101.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
Well, it is indeed time for a fact that makes your brain go. So, more than athletes, more than musicians, more than DJs. I don't think they mean us. They mean more like club DJs and things like that. People that are out in clubs and just.
There's plenty of radio DJs that cheat too. I've met them.
Yeah, there's a few. More cheating by this profession in Chicago than any other profession. And that profession is, according to a recent study, is nurses. Nurses cheat more than athletes, musicians, and DJs.
Well, there's probably more of them. Or is it just percentage based? So it's like it doesn't matter.
Yes, it's a percentage-based thing.
I see.
So, I don't know. We have a lot of nurses that call up. Oh, it seems like a nurse like once a week at least in Clash with Kenzie competes in trivia. I'd love to hear from a nurse to confirm, get real data from our own crew members on if they see that. Or I'm not saying, you don't have to say you did it. I'm just saying, do you see that in your profession?
It could be your friend who's a nurse.
Wink.
Wink, wink. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I've heard this before, okay? And I'm not a nurse. I've never dated anyone in that field, which is probably a mistake. Probably should have dated somebody in the medical field. I wish I would have had that experience. But anyways, I've heard that it's because of their crazy schedule, especially new nurses. So when they're pulling their triple shifts and third shifts, and there's nurses that are like, oh, on my 24-hour shift. So who they bond with ends up being other people at work, because that's who understands them. That's who works these crazy schedules.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, especially if you're somebody new that you're dating, will get angry because you're working so much. So they bond with the male or female at work who's like, my partner gets mad about that too, and all we're doing is working. And it is funny how you can create your own problem. Like if you get mad about at somebody enough to create the situation where then they do want to go cry on someone's shoulder, and then it happens. You can create your own. It's still their fault. It's not that it's your fault, but
Right.
you can almost worry something into existence, right?
Yeah, so the profession actually then causes it in a way because of your personal relationship. Like for a perfect example might be also bartenders and waitresses. You work at Famous Dave's. I mean, people that work that lifestyle, they don't get home till 4 a.m. I dated a bartender once, and you never knew what they were doing, and they always look like they're having fun. You know, with the guys they work with or women they work with.
Famous Dave's, but I don't think you would have had a lot to worry about in my scenario.
I haven't noticed
I was
enough.
just sweeping up cornbread that kids threw on the ground.
Didn't notice enough about what you were doing there when I stopped in the same Famous Dave's while you were working.
My pig name tag that's in Famous Kenzie wasn't getting hit on a lot.
Well, let's go more with bartenders too, and just I don't know. But check in here at 312-591-8300. Love to hear from a nurse. Because that's what it says. Nurses cheat more than athletes, musicians, or DJs. And I'd like to see if you see that in your profession. Not you, but your profession. Or another profession out there that you worked in or have inside information on where they cheat a lot. Like I think a lot of people always say flight attendants. If you're dating a flight attendant, they're going all city to city, and then they all kind of get together in this weird little cult. And then they go out and they meet up with people in other cities, and there's no way to track anything.
I just feel like people, they always say like these people with the crazy hours, like I just said about nurses and then flight attendants. How do you have the energy? The last thing I'd be interested in doing after pulling a triple shift would be like, let me try to sneak in and sleep with someone new and then go home and then your man also wants it? Absolutely not.
So loyalty.
Now we're on like 5th shift. I don't think so.
Loyalty through sleep deprivation.
Yeah, at a minimum.
That's a minimum?
I don't care how we get there. I just don't want to get cheated on. I don't care why it doesn't happen.
Well, check in with us because I would like to get some data. I've also heard, believe it or not, the valet guys at hotels, I've heard they score. And I don't know it's because of, listen.
You think because they take the cars around?
Well, that's what
We're like eat like the really nice ones.
I'm trying to figure out how. I think it's because when somebody opens the door for you and your man doesn't, later on they kind of get a number somehow.
Do you always open Megan's door?
I do.
But honestly.
No, of course not. I mean, if she's coming to the car, and I'm carrying baby stuff, that's my excuse. But I used to always open the door for her when we were single and just kind of hanging out. Now it's like, you can open the door. Go on.
I feel like my husband's a decent door opener. Like he tries. He's very good when we're going to the car for the most part. But right, the second you have anything extra in your hands, it like goes out the window. I don't know.
Julie checked in from 815. Warehouse workers, big cheaters. They definitely go in the camera blind spots.
But I feel like that's so broad. Like any warehouse.
Yeah, anywhere else. Yeah, people that maybe.
There's a lot of warehouses. Like it doesn't matter. Like Amazon, all of them.
There's a lot of stuff going on in these warehouses, apparently.
But you know, when your package is like, sorry, we've misplaced it. Now I know what's going on. It's gonna be a little late. Whoops.
Keep checking in if you have insider information on a profession that cheats a lot, like Julie there. Perfect. She was from Joliet checking in. Definitely find the camera blind spots and go because you got a lot of hours to kill. Nurses cheat more than anybody, apparently. It's Brian and Kenzie on Q101.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
We're getting more information and data from today's fact that made your brain go that nurses are the biggest cheating profession out there, more than musicians, athletes, if we count those as professions, DJs, because, in Kenzie's point, they're probably together a lot. They work 24 on, 24 off a lot of times, like cops and firemen. So we're getting some new data on this from people that are checking in, the Chicago nurses. And Alexander, male nurse here in Elgin. Yes, the 12-hour shifts and consecutive days means you're around the same people, sometimes more than your significant others. It's an action of convenience and opportunity. Not serious relationships, just a quickie. That's it. That's what he says.
I mean it sound like it's a good thing.
No, I kind of maybe my voice inflection did there, but just a quickie.
Doesn't mean anything. We're just making children.
Yeah, just doing that. And also, let's see here. A lot of people checking in on other professions. In fact, Jessica, a nurse here, says, I think the firefighters banded together to voted nurses. We all know they're the biggest cheaters, firemen. And Jessica, the nurse in Chicago, checked in on that. Firemen.
Don't they only get called if there's a fire, though?
Correct, but maybe they're sneaking people into the house when they're just waiting around.
Are they always just there waiting?
Well, if you have a shift, you're waiting. Yeah, you can't get there from home.
I don't know. I think they just get paid when there's a fire.
You think they're home playing, Call of Duty and then there's a fire?
Well, because isn't it, for the most part, like it's volunteer? There's a lot of volunteer firemen, right?
There are, but there's a lot of full-time firemen.
There's a lot of full-time firemen?
There are. There's more than volunteers. I might be making that up, but I'm pretty sure.
What happens when there's not a fire? Like, how often are firemen getting called?
Well, there's a lot of cats in trees, as they say back in the day. There's a lot of false calls, a lot of false alarms.
There's a lot of important big ones, but I'd imagine there is a lot of waiting around, depending on where you live. Like, I mean, I feel like the Elgin one's probably less busy.
Yeah,
right?
I'm going by Chicago Fire. I watched that, and
I don't know.
Now, Eric the fireman, Eric the K used to work here, and he was a fireman. He's up in a fireman in Woodstock, and he said, don't believe that show, but I want to believe the show is exactly what it's like, where they have really good buffet meals, and everybody cooks them up, and then they hang out and talk and chit-chat, and they BS. I don't know if there's a fireman out there who wants to check in and tell me what you exactly do.
What do you do when there's not a fire? Because I feel like there has to be a lot of moments where there's not a huge fire, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Like, it's not like every day you get a report this massive building burned down.
Right, but they still have to, everybody still has to show up because it could turn into something massive.
Why do they have to show up? Okay, I have more fireman questions.
I'm not a fireman. I'm making this up as I go. I'd love a real fireman to call 312-591-8300.
Because what bothers me, too, is when like an ambulance goes to somebody's house because they have like a heart attack. Why do fire trucks show up for that? You ever notice that?
Well, another question for a fireman.
They show up for everything.
Yeah, I think because probably they can clear the way. Now, Carl, the paramedic, checking in. Firemen work 24-hour shifts at the firehouse. Most cheat on off days.
Oh, my God.
Very rare for something to happen in the house. Firemen go to car crashes, too. They go...
The car crash should make sense because something could start on fire.
Well, they need those tools. They need those stuff that will open up a door. And
but there was clearly an emergency at our house in the neighborhood the other day because a bunch of engines went by. But it was like for just an injured person. I don't know if they had a stroke or a heart attack or something like that. And a fire truck showed up. But I'm like, but I don't know why.
I wish I had these answers. If I have a real fireman call up, I'm going by Chicago PD.
You're like begging for the love of God.
Just,
if a fireman can call.
We have tons of texts coming in, and I want to verify from a voice, because you can ask these questions over text, but it's kind of like, isn't that annoying when someone just texts you all the time back and forth? When I get there, I just talk to you on your voice. So if a real fireman would call up, 312-591-8300, and answer some of these Kenzie questions that she's ripping at me today, and I don't even know the answers, but I am going by Chicago PD, and I think that show's real, and I want to believe it's real.
Wait, most Chicago firemen are scheduled one 24-hour shift a week and get paid for 40 hours.
I don't think that's exactly true unless that person's a fireman. Because listen, one shift a week is not enough. I believe it's one on like 2.
But think of a 24-hour.
Oh, got it.
So they're there for an entire day.
Yeah.
But why? Why do that?
Because they got to fill the hours. Someone's got to be at the house every minute, every second,
Right,
every
but
day.
why not like 12-hour shifts?
Twice. Well, because they need more firemen.
But what now? They're sleepy firemen. That doesn't sound safe either. Doesn't sound like a good idea.
It doesn't sound like a great idea.
We need to just really address everything about firemen's lives.
Jeremy, tell me you're a fireman so I can stop making stuff up to Kenzie here.
I am a fireman.
Thank God.
Thank God.
Okay. Answer all of Kenzie's questions. What's the first one?
Okay, why do firemen show up when people have like heart attacks?
So it's easier for us to take the fire engine to these calls because it's like if we're on our way back from these calls and we catch a fire, we're there. We can respond quickly, and it carries all of our tools and all of our gear. So we're there to fight fires, or we're there to be on these types of calls.
Answer your question?
All right, that's fair. Now, how many days a week do you have to work?
So it depends. We work a 24-48 schedule, so usually it's 3 days one week, 4 days the next.
And he's in Glen Ellen, by the way. I think different fire departments or different regions have different rules or different setups.
Okay, and how many hours is the 3 shifts and the 4 shifts? How many hours are they?
It's a 24-48 schedule, so we're on for 24 hours, we're off for 48 hours.
Right.
Oh, I see.
Now, I want to also add on to make sure. So there are more full-time firefighters than volunteers, right?
In Northern Illinois, yes. We've placed an emphasis on having excellent public.
Oh, Jeremy's.
So there's more full-time firefighters in Illinois than there are volunteers.
Got it.
Okay, now what are the volunteers? Can I show up and be like, here to help with this fire?
Yeah, I mean, if there's a volunteer fire department, yeah. But for the most part, it's all full-timers. And we get mutual aid from other towns. So if there's a big incident, another town will send assets to another town to help them out.
Now, how often do you feel like you actually have to do something? Because you're essentially, you go, but you know what I mean? You have to wait a lot but like how often your 3 shifts and your 4 shifts, does something go? Like there's a call?
Well, most of our calls now are medical calls. So it's like 80% medical, 20% fire. And that 20% fire includes like fire alarms, rubbish fires, structure fires, stuff like that.
Do you get kind of excited when it's a fire? You're like, this is what I'm here for.
Oh, my God, yes. It's a huge adrenaline dump.
Oh, my God. It's like, it's about time for some real flames, baby.
Yeah, let's use this hose, baby. Now, are firefighters big cheaters?
Oh, I don't know about that one.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to go with the nurses.
You're going to go what with the nurses? Of course, just like that lady said. All right, I think you've answered all Kenzie's questions about firefighters.
All right, maybe Case can get his phone number in case I think of a few more later.
Thank you, Jeremy, and thanks for your service, man. Appreciate what you do.
No problem. Thank you.
All right.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
Well, of course, every firefighter in the city has come full force to 312-591-8300. But I think we've answered all the questions we need so far. So thank you, guys. Thank you for your service. Thanks for going in to flames when everybody else runs away. We appreciate that. Even if you got to wait a long time for that to happen, like sometimes weeks, sometimes months. It depends on where you are and how busy you're.
Not people waiting for them to respond. Them waiting for a big fire to happen. I would like to clarify.
That's what I meant.
Even if you got to wait for them, that's not what he's saying.
If I'm waiting a month, my house is gone. It's a charcoal briquette. We did get a 708 text in out of nowhere, and that all those really good questions about firefighters, what they do, which it started from nurses being bigger cheaters, according to a study, than musicians and athletes and DJs. And we led to some nurses calling up saying firefighters are the biggest cheaters. That's what led us all to this conversation. 708 checked in. Can confirm firefighters sneak people into the house.
We got a different 708 text. It's going to blow your mind right now.
Uh-oh.
A nurse that said, my boss and I have been messing around for 6 years. He's my work husband.
What? Okay, well, we've confirmed a lot of things in the first hour of the show.
Damn.
It's pretty productive.
That's a bold. You delete this text so your husband doesn't think you just text it like it's on your phone now.
That's what's great about our listeners on the show. You are anonymous. We're not going to call you out here.
No, because we actually have her name saved, but I'm not going to. From previous texts, I wasn't going to do that. Yes.
No, you can text anything you want here, and we get you, and Kenzie filters it, and we go through and answer every text. And we're here for you on this ride in, whatever you want to say, including that.
I love it.
I'll get to a great weekend for the Cubs in a second, and here's a song about cheating. It's Q101.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.